Hello again, Fairhaven Town Administrator Keith Hickey with the latest edition of Town Report for the week ending April 10th, 2026. If you guys have been keeping track of what's happening in town, there's a lot going on. Budget-wise, we've finalized the town meeting warrant. That was done last Tuesday night in a joint meeting with the Select Board, the Finance Committee, and the School Committee. I want to thank members of all those committees for taking the extra time to getting together and talking through some of the challenging issues that we're dealing with right now. So the warrant is posted, it's online if people want to take a look at it. There is an override of just under $800,000 that's been proposed in Article 9. There's a tax calculator on the website. If you go on the front page of the website, there's an icon for fiscal 2027 town meeting, and in that, if you click on that icon, one of the options you have is to determine what the impact of your taxes will be in 2027. You have the option to plug in the assessed value of your house. If you don't know what that is, it's on your tax bill. If you don't have a tax bill, you can go online into the assessing department, and they've got a database. You just need to put in the tax owner's name is, and it should tell you what your taxable value is. You put that taxable value into the tax calculation, and it provides you what your fiscal 26 property taxes are, what your fiscal 27 taxes would be without an override, and what your fiscal 27 taxes would be if an override were to be approved. I'm just trying, again, to provide as much information as we can to people so people understand not only what's being proposed and what's not being proposed, and what the financial impact is for everybody's households. If you have any questions or you aren't able to maneuver around that web page, or you need some help getting your assessed valuation, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to try to help you out with that. We'll try to get you the information you need so you know what the impact of your taxes are going to be. I did mention that the town meeting warrant is online. There are 29 articles. Some of them are typical articles you see, the accepting the town report, the report of boards and commissions, things of that nature. The operating budget article this year is Article 8. The override article is Article 9 for the general fund. We have a couple of citizen petitions, but we're asking the voters to consider adopting legislation that's called the HEROES Act. What the HEROES Act does is it increases the amount of the exemptions for either partially or totally disabled veterans. We're looking to increase the amount of the exemptions by 1/3 of the total we can. So we're going from, I think, $1,000 for a total disabled veteran to $1,334. We could go up to $2,000, but we're trying to gradually step this in to make the impact to everybody else a little bit less significant than it would have been if we just moved from $1,000 to $2,000. So please take a look if you can at the warrant. And again, if you have questions, I urge you to reach out. I know that the moderator will be doing an informational show at some point coming up later on in April. That information will be out there, and we'll continue to try to provide information as it comes forward to make people aware of what's happening. One thing that I was made aware of yesterday afternoon, and it hasn't been vetted at this point or discussed, and there's been no votes taken, but expect some votes to be taken by the time we sit down next week and talk about this. My understanding is that the Board of Public Works on Monday afternoon had a discussion on the trash rates and are considering increasing the trash rates and potentially increasing the beach rates to raise enough money to eliminate the need for an override. I had the opportunity to meet with the chairman of the Board of Public Works yesterday and explain to him that it's too late to modify the warrant that will be presented at town meeting, and the most appropriate way, in my opinion anyways, to bring an article or an amendment like this forward, if they wanted to do that, would be to make a motion on the floor of town meeting to amend the budget, increasing the different departments they are recommending be increased in their motion, and then indicating that they have approved rate increases for whatever permitting they have authority to increase rates for. I know, for example, they're talking about, as I mentioned, trash and the beach fees to offset those expenses. If that was to be approved at town meeting as an amendment, the recommendation would be to pass over Article 9, which is the override article. So it would be funded without an override. Wish it had come forward, a while ago, so it could have been vetted a little bit by the Finance Committee and the Select Board and included in the warrant, but appreciate the Board of Public Works trying to find another way to fund some of the services and employee positions that would be eliminated if the override were to fail. So we'll see how that plays out. I'll give everybody an update next week so we can provide a quick update on where things stand. Select Board is meeting. They've got a pretty lengthy agenda. We're appointing some people to a variety of boards and commissions, so I appreciate everybody being willing to do that. We're approving, or there's a request to approve a couple of road races. One of the items on the agenda that might take more time than most is there's a developer who's interested in coming in and presenting to the select board the redevelopment of the G-Bourne Knowles site into a friendly 40B. There would be around 200 to 240 apartments that would be considered as part of that proposal. They are trying to work with the town and make this a friendly 40B, which provides the town of Fairhaven the ability to have much more ability to comment and work collaboratively with the developer. He certainly has the ability to come in and just do a regular 40B. By doing that, as you may be aware, really there's very, very little oversight the town of Fairhaven has over a regular 40B. So the developer has been very open to working with us. He's met with most of the senior staff who would be impacted by a development. So we're talking about the school, the police, the fire departments, planning department, conservation, myself. We've had some discussions. You know, there's certainly the water and sewer capacities there, the school capacities there. There's some concern about making sure that entering and exiting the potential development is safe, knowing that it's going to be exiting and entering off of Route 6. Nearby, some playing fields, so we want to make sure that area is safe and for everybody to continue to use. But it's an opportunity to see some development. While it's a residential development, it'd be more of a commercial type development for tax purposes and expand the tax base a little bit. So that's something that's going to be discussed and presented. There'll be, I'm sure, a fairly lengthy review process. So this isn't going to be something where the developer comes into the select board and it's one and done. But this is his opportunity to introduce the project and have a conversation with the select board on what he's proposing and what he'd like some assistance with. We also are going to be, the Recreation Department is considering or is asking the board to consider increasing or adjusting some of their membership rates for fiscal 27. The town clerk is requesting that election workers from the Democratic and Republican Party be authorized to work. It's a formality basically. Every time there's an election, we send off a letter to the Democratic and Republican town committees asking if they have anybody who wants to work a town election. So we're just asking for the select board to authorize that letter to go out. We do have a request from the planning board they're asking for a joint meeting with the select board to review the full investigation of the Timothy Hiller subdivision. The select board had previously voted to release the executive summary, which has been done. The planning board, or at least some of the planning board members, would like to see the entire investigative report. That's something the select board had voted against in the past. So we'll bring that back up a second time next Tuesday night, and a conversation will occur and a decision will be made. But lastly, there's some discussion on revising some of the select board protocols. There's been some inconsistency between boards, and you may have heard that in some of the public comment sections. The select board has provided executive session information prior to the meeting. They're able to keep that executive session information with them after the meeting is over, with the expectation, understanding that they respect that it's executive session information. They shouldn't be sharing it, and I don't believe that they are. With some of the other boards, including the planning board, members are asked to return the executive session information at the end of each meeting where that executive session information is discussed. So there's some question about the differences between how boards are addressed and deal with executive session information. So there was a request by the select board chair, Mr. Murphy, to bring this forward to have this conversation and see if there's any protocols that the board would like to consider amending. So that'll be a discussion as well. So that is our select board meeting for the 13th of April. We meet again on the 27th, and then the precinct meetings for the annual town meeting will be held on Thursday, April 30th. Those start at 6:30. Each precinct's in a separate classroom, and then there'll be a town meeting preview that our moderator provides to town meeting members that begins on April 30th at 7 o'clock in the evening. That is broadcast live on Fairhaven TV. Our annual town meeting, again, is May 2nd. So we're less than 30 days away from town meeting. Even if you're not a member of town meeting, you're certainly more than welcome to attend and participate if you'd like to do that. If you have any questions gearing up for town meeting, all the information we have is on our website. We ask you to take a look at it. If you have questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out. We're happy to try to answer them. So with that, I want to thank you for watching again. Hope everybody has a great week and enjoy some of the warm weather that's coming. Thank you.